There's a sweetness that waits, holiest embrace, that reminds me I'm always home. It's here that I am always home.
Thank you. Welcome. It's good to see you all tonight. Thank you for being here for our Wednesday night Going Within service. Our purpose for this service, or the reason that we offer it, is to give you a chance midweek to just come together and rest and pause in the middle of the week and reconnect to Source, to just focus that hour that you're here to your relationship with the divine. And so what we do is we spend about the first 20 minutes or so in meditation and contemplation, and then we'll go into some more music and some a message later on. But just allow yourself to surrender and to be fully present right here and right now. And to kick us off this evening, we have practitioner Trudy Seifke.
Thank you. Why don't we collectively just take a nice breath in? And as we calmly just go into our inner consciousness, our own private place, if you will, where there is God, where there is a place that knows that it knows. And so we just simply address this evening in such beauty and such vitality, recognizing the notion that Spirit is right here and now. Recognizing that the divine is just imbuing itself, unfolding, unraveling, and just immersing us in love. For where two or more are gathered, and as we gather this evening, we just allow it to continue to be blessed, recognizing that you had a choice this evening, and you have chosen to come here. So we honor your presence, we honor the gifts that have been prepared for you. And simply know that if you accept, you will receive. So Father, Mother, God, I am just knowing that this evening continues to just be blessed in big old wonderful ways. And I am grateful for this. I'm grateful for my life right here, right now. For the breath I take, for the dinner I ate. And so I am blessed, fully blessed. And I release and know that it is all good and all is well. And so it is.
So it is.
So right now, anyone who would like to come forward, if you haven't lit a candle already, please do so while Aria sings us into meditation.
This life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life. Now there's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life. Now there's only one life. is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life. Make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. Oh, divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it's in giving that we receive, and it's in pardon that we are pardoned, and it's in dying that we are born to eternal life. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it's in giving that we receive, and it's in pardon that we are pardoned, and it's in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen.
Wow, wow, wow. You know, I go to different services, and perhaps you do, but the opening in this music tonight is just so lush and rich. If you don't mind, just extend your hands like this to them and just send them some love. Just send them some love. They do a beautiful job. You set it up so nice. Thank you. So, this past week, there's been many rumblings and decision-making from different religious groups. Have you noticed? New exclusions and timid inclusions, and so on. So I wrote this piece because tonight we're talking about there is only one life. So listen to this quote. Love, law, and loyalty are the only religious organization we need. Ernest Holmes, guys, Ernest Holmes. And he, by the way, is the founder of religious science. The only question I think we need to ask then is, down in our own attitude, the way we think, the way we operate, the way we feel, do we believe that God is all there is? In 1990, I enrolled in a foundations class, in our foundations class. It was at a different church location, and it was with a teacher named Gladys Carlson, 83 years old, and full of wisdom. We sat back and just listened to her like she was Yoda sometimes. We were like, you are so cool and amazing. You know? Anyway, we were introduced to such terms as one mind, source, the back behind all, divine consciousness, and others. You know, I found some papers from my foundations class, and I kept them because it was one of the most profound, life-changing times in my life. You see, I came in with a prior education, the opposite of a loving, inclusive God. I thought more in terms of that duality, God and me. And when I was mischievous, just me, no God, no God. As if it protected me from any judgment. And it felt as if God had its own opinion, and I couldn't probably live up to that. Nope. And I felt like I had a broken relationship with the divine. However, I digress. Listen to some of the pearls taken from Foundation. One individual with God, one, you, is totality, completion. One opinion consistent with the truth is not a positive statement, but an absolute fact. One announcement from a mind that knows that it knows is going to set the world on fire. I love these juicy things I learned in Foundations. And I began to have a new relationship, me with God. I started to understand the concepts of God in everything. A smile from a stranger, that awkward hug. I'm looking at Bob because he's teaching me how to hug. Getting all wet in the rain. And how about that last gulp of coffee out of the mug? I mean, that's God right there. That's God good stuff. Ernest Holmes spent many years finding and researching and debating about the commonality of religion in our very textbook, Science of Mind. And he inasmuch said, religion is a science. We can look at it through scientific eyes. And this is all found, all these teachings in the Science of Mind textbook that we share. So today, I accept the presence of the divine within me. It's a work in progress. And I bring my every thought into alignment with God's perfect plan for me today. So with that, please welcome Reverend Debbie.
Thank you, Trudy. Yes. Wonderful. Yes, that is what we're going to be talking about tonight. Thank you, Trudy. Well, 2 weeks ago, we started on what is called the Global Vision, a world that works for everyone. And it's a year-long program, for those of you that weren't here, that over 400 of our centers are doing. So they've come together, and each week we're all talking about the same thing. The talks were written for Sundays, so since I get to be with you on the first and third Wednesday of every month, I get 4 talks that I get to look at and put together and decide which ones that I would like to speak with you about. And this month in particularly, it was a little challenging because Dr. Christian wrote this Sunday, and Dr. Kathy Hearn wrote the 31st. So we have 2 of our very own ministers that wrote the talks that are going out to our entire movement. And so I've sort of put both of those together for us tonight. And the talk that we're talking about, do you have that next slide, Ed? We read this last week, and this is January's theme. So each month there's a new theme, and then each week there's a new topic within this theme. So we envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. We talked about that 2 weeks ago. And tonight we are talking about we see all people, all beings, and all life as expressions of God. The one manifests itself in and through all creation, and we see a world in which people live in alignment with their highest spiritual truth. And that's the one that Dr. Kathy wrote, that very last sentence there. So we're going to talk a little bit about both of those tonight. So the very first thing that we must become convinced of is what Trudy was talking about, is that there is God and only God, that there's nothing but the divine. And this is one where the Science of Mind students, the students in my classes, their beliefs hit up against the wall. Because sometimes it looks as if there's things other than God, doesn't there? Sometimes when we look around us in the world, it looks like Well, that's not really God. How can that be God? That doesn't look good. That doesn't look like love. That doesn't look like joy, all those qualities that we ascribe to God. But what we need to know is that there's not God and something else. A few weeks ago, Dr. Christian on Sunday does his annual Q&A. And people ask him questions, and some of these are the tougher questions, I think, of how can there be cancer in the world? How can there be child abuse in the world? How can there be these things if God is all there is? So as students of religious science, as students of the science of mind, we want to be convinced to that absolute belief that Trudy was talking about, that God is all there is, that there is nothing else but the divine. And so what I want to share a little bit about is how do we get those things that appear to be not God, right? We know that what we think, our thoughts and our emotions create the outpicturing in our life. So every thought that we have and every emotion that we have, and not just a thought that we have one time. I mean, if every thought that we thought manifested, we'd be in a whole bunch of trouble, wouldn't we? But it's those patterns of thoughts that we have, and they manifest in our life. Well, that is true for the people around us, for all the people in the world. The thoughts that they're thinking manifest in their lives. So then we come up with things that we call race consciousness, where we might have a whole group of people that believe a thing that may not be the truth. And when I mean the truth with the big T. The truth of the divine, the truth of God. So what we have is this magnificent divine spirit, source, energy, whatever name you want to call it, that is all that there is. And within all that there is, there's the human experience, as Dr. Christian would call it. We have those things that happen. That does not mean that those things are God ordained, if you will. Now, it's all God, so we can't say, oh, this is not God, because then we're saying there's something other than God. But this is God expressing through the human experience. This is God expressing as our human thoughts are put into creation. Because what we do have is we have free will, and we're able to think and believe anything that we want to think and believe. And the law is very neutral. We've talked about that before. The law is neutral. Whatever you put into it, that's what you're going to create. Put in a carrot seed, you're going to get a carrot. Put in a corn seed, you're going to get a corn stalk. It can be no other way. But you're free to plant whatever you want to plant. So therefore, we end up in our world with things that look maybe not like what we think God is. So that's the first point. That's the first point that we want to think about. Ernest Holmes says this in the book Love and Law, which is a beautiful book if you haven't read it. It really explains these two concepts. We talk about, source being the love, and then we have the law. Love points the way, is what is said. People must realize that no matter how infinite the infinite may be, it can only become to them what it can become through them. We must look at ourselves with our own eyes. If we could open up, clean house mentally, and get out of ourselves everything that ails us, I don't care what the poverty is or the misery is, everything would be allowed because the infinite cannot refuse anything. Therefore, our job is to do our own mental housekeeping. Sweep out those thoughts that no longer serve you. Take a look at your belief system. Take a look at the thoughts that you're thinking. Pay attention. Mike Dooley says thoughts are things. Choose the good ones, right? Pay attention. What are you thinking? What thoughts are you putting into the universe? What television shows are you watching? What books are you reading? What people are you surrounding yourself with? What kind of activities are you engaging in? If you want to know what your thoughts are, you can look around in your life and see what's manifesting in your life, because everything begins in source. Everything begins in that thought manifested in your life. So when you're looking around at your life and you may say, I don't know how this happened. Oh my gosh, why is this terrible thing showing up? We get an opportunity to look back and look at our very own selves, to look back into our own thinking, our own emotions, our own belief system, to see what it is that might need to be weeded out. Ernest talks about the law and that fertile soil, and that it needs weeding, and it needs plucking, and it needs cleaning and cultivating. So it really is a good practice to pay attention to what thoughts that you're holding. In the science of mind, we embrace the understanding that God, spirit, life, whatever you want to call it, has taken on a unique and individualized form in and as each of us. The infinite is known by many, many names, but that we are each that individualized expression of the divine. That we are each God made manifest. And that's another point that sometimes is hard for people to get. How can we be God? Well, the truth is that we are not all that God is, but God is all that we are. Because remember, there's not God and something else. There's only God. Whenever I have a question in my mind, whenever I have a thing that I might be struggling with, I always go back to that point, that God is all there is. So anything else that's showing up can't be the truth. It's an illusion. It's a human experience. It's whatever we want to call it, but it is not God. I'm using the word God a lot tonight, and I realize that. But, it's anything. It's whatever that is for you. Spirit, source, creative intelligence, love, divine mind, divine order, good orderly direction. Whatever it is for you, that's what I'm talking about. And you are that thing made manifest. Each and every thing on this planet is God. There is only one life, and it is God's life. And it is perfect. And it is your life now. It's my life now. So there's only that expression of the divine that you are. And as the more and more as we come to embrace that, the more and more that we come to accept that, the more and more that we come to know that about ourselves, the more and more that we're able to be in that place of creation, to be in that place of manifestation, to be in that place of love, to be in that place of knowing that all of the power of the universe is available to us. Ernest Holmes always started his radio show with the line that I'm sure I've shared with you before, because it's one of my favorite things that he says, is there's a power for good in the universe and you can use it. And you can use it. There's a power for good in the universe and you can use it. And it can use you too. And it can use you too. That power moves in and through and as us. And we are that expression of the divine. This is Dr. Kathy. She wrote this. We realize that we are the thing itself, spirit, right here on earth. We come to realize that we are not merely human beings having a human experience on earth, or even spiritual beings having a human experience. We are spiritual beings having a spiritual experience, right here in this world of form. There is only one thing going on, she says, God, spirit, life. And I think that's sort of an evolution. That's, as we talked about before, those four kingdoms, that we move from being, that it's being done to me, to it's being done by me, then it's being done through me, and then it's being done as me. And what we're talking about tonight is really that fourth kingdom. We're talking about that place of being done as me. In a practitioner class, we teach our practitioners to speak as they are God. You are God speaking. When we're doing that spiritual mind treatment, when we're praying with another individual, we're speaking as God. And that's powerful. And I know it's scary for some people to step into that place, to really believe that. And we have, many of us, so many years of undoing of this duality that we were taught maybe as children or in another, situation. And so you get to that place of knowing that there is no duality, that you are, that your word is the word of God. That you are the eyes of God, the hands of God, the feet of God, the face of God here in this world, on this planet. That God is absolutely all there is. Right now, we are as much of this spiritual reality as we will ever be. Although we will be continually becoming more of it, we are all incarnations of God. God is what we are, God is not lost, neither can we ever be. We never need to prepare to meet God, so we are meeting him every day. But what we do need to do, and what we will always be doing, is to express more and more of his nature through ourselves. This is the endless pathway. This is the immortal and the eternal endeavor, the continual upward spiraling of our awareness of God as what we are. A greater knowledge, experience, and expression of God is always our goal, which may or must be ever more fully attained. And that's from A New Design for Living. So we never get to be more God, if you will, than we are now. But what we can do is we continue to allow more and more of that God to express through us. You know, in many places in the Science of Mind literature, we talk about our expanding journey and our expanding soul, and we're going on, and we have this growth, and we have this expansion, and that's sort of the journey of our experience here in this time on this planet Earth here, that we're growing and we're evolving in our souls here, and our souls' lessons and our souls' journeys. And that comes up in lots of places. You know, but the idea is that we're allowing more and more of the divine nature to be revealed in and expressed through us. You know, so in other words, it's a part of our spiritual evolution to allow more love, more peace, more harmony, more joy, whatever that is, to show up in your life, to come through in your life, to be who you are in your life. You know, I can think of many times in my life when a shift happened, a change happened, an expansion happened. And, you know, I started this really dedicated spiritual journey about 28 years ago. And in the 28 years from then to now, I'm not the same person I was. I was thinking, you know, if our cells, all the cells in our bodies recycle every 7 years, that means it's been 4 cycles of cell change. So my cells have all changed 4 times. My thinking has changed so very much. I came up from a place of being so fearful. I came from that place of absolute division. I was so afraid of everything. I was afraid of my shadow. You know, I was afraid, well, I was sure I was going to hell for the life I had led, you know, and so I figured I might as well go out with a bang, you know. And then I learned that it didn't have to be that way. And slowly, by applying the principles that we teach here, the simple thing that God is good, that was like amazing news to me, that God was good. And only good? Well, that was mind-blowing. If there was nothing else but this beautiful goodness, you know, and that I wasn't born flawed or defective, you know, that I was perfect, whole, and complete exactly the way I was. You know, I was shocked when my daughter was born. And these is what I'm talking about, the race consciousness, the family consciousness, the belief systems that go on. And nobody in my family really, except my father, practices that particular religion anymore. And so it had been many, many years since my mother practiced it. But when my daughter was born, she said to me, "What are you going to do? Aren't you going to have her baptized?" She was terrified that I was going to have her baptized in that particular religion because if she died, her soul would end up where? In purgatory, right? Forever and ever and ever. And I was just shocked that my mother still thought that, you know? But it's those ideas of those belief systems that just go so deep. You know, Dr. Christian tells the story of good religious scientists who their entire life are practicing this way of life, and they may have come from another religion, and then on their deathbed, they still ask for last rites. Because somewhere in them, there's that belief still that maybe that was really right. And what we're doing over here isn't. Cover all the bases, I guess, you know. But to know with every cell of your being that God is all that there is, that there's nothing, absolutely nothing but God. An exercise I want to do with you. Let's see, what are we looking at here? So this comes from Dr. Kathy, and you know Dr. Kathy's always big on doing exercises with everybody. So anybody who's willing to join me, you can just go ahead and close your eyes. And I want to ask you to just raise your hands up in a big V like this. And just look up. Look up through the ceiling, into the night sky, into the stars, into all that is, into the infinite, and embracing that reality. Imagine it coming down through your arms, just like our Science of Mind V. So all that is coming down through into you, and bring it down into your heart. And you can place your hands on your heart, knowing that the infinity of the Spirit is with you now, in you, as you, in the very center of your body. This is the teaching. That which God is has taken on form, embodied, incarnated as that which we are. So you are that individualized expression of the divine. So just let it sit in. Feeling how it feels to be that expression. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And return back here to this time in this place. And last week I began to come and talk with you to see how you're doing and see what's going on and how this is feeling for you. So if anybody would like to share what that experience was like, what it felt like to them to be that, to do that, anything that came up for you tonight that you'd like to share, now's your time. Hi. It's good to see you all. Did anybody have a shift? Did anybody have an aha? Aha. Karen, how about you?
Aha. I'm always reminded of the power of how Ernest started in his coming together. There is a power and it's yours to use.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes I forget that it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully not as often as I think I do. But tonight just reminded me one more time, there is a power and a presence and it's there for us to use. So thank you for the reminder.
You're welcome. It's good to remember. It's good to remember. Anybody else? You're all quiet tonight. Gregory, you want something to say?
Sure, why not?
Are you allowed to talk and be the cameraman at the same time?
I don't know
Let's
if
see.
I'm
We
allowed
can't
to do
record you,
this.
but go ahead.
Oh, am I allowed to do this?
Yes, you are.
I felt it was like a baptism.
Did it feel like that?
Yeah.
Good. Good.
And it reminds me that it's not just something that has to happen to you when you're an infant,
Right.
because when you're an infant, you're not fully aware at any rate.
Yeah.
So it's better when these things happen to you as an adult.
Yeah.
And you talked about many awakenings in your life.
Yeah.
And that was a nice one right there.
Yeah.
That was
Beautiful.
very beautiful on your part.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Gregory. Yeah, that's my hope, and my hope for you is that you have that experience of the divine, because we can talk about this all we want, but are you experiencing it? Are you doing your spiritual practice? Are you finding that moments of connection? Did I see a hand over here? Were you just moving? No? Okay. Yes, darling.
Well, there were two things. Actually, there was a quote from Einstein. There are two ways to live your life, as though nothing is a miracle, or as though everything is. And
Yeah.
when we were doing the exercise there, I had this feeling, the sensation that what I was bringing in was already there.
Yeah.
So that was profound.
Beautiful. I like that. I'll live my life as if everything is a miracle. Did I see a hand? No? Okay, good. Bob. Last one.
Yeah, it was a joy for me in your explanation that we are all an expression of God, and I was maybe for the first time seeing individuals that I've dealt with here and thinking, wow, he is a very peaceful expression of God.
That's
Or
beautiful.
she is a very bubbly, joyful
Yeah.
expression of God. So it was a new experience for me to see,
Yes.
and your enthusiasm. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. That's so true. You remind me, Bob, I had an experience about, oh gosh, I don't know, 15, 16 years ago. I was a assistant, a facilitator for a women's group that came together, and they were all dealing with their child of origin issues, and I was kind of learning the whole therapeutic thing, and there was one woman in the group who just bothered me, you know? And every time she talked, I was like, oh, she's so stuck in her story and this and that. And I had all this judgment, you know? And I did the exercise at that very moment of imagining only love. Imagining only love. Imagining her as love and me as love. And I'll tell you, in that moment, a miracle happened for me, that the whole thing transformed. And I had such a compassion for her, and such a love for her, and such an understanding for her. It was so dynamic. It stayed with me even today, all these years later. And that's all it takes, is a focused moment. I remember as an early student in my practitioner class, I'm learning these things, and I would go to a restaurant, and I'd sit in the restaurant, and I'd look at all the tables and all the people and think, every one of these people is God. Everything here is God. You know, as we walk through our life in that kind of way, it's just magical. It's wonderful. It's uplifting. And then that's not to say that we don't know that these other things are going on in the world. But we also know they're not the truth of the divine. They're not the truth of spirit. They're part of the human experience. This was a quote that Dr. Christian had that I liked. I'm going to share it with you. This is from Words That Heal Today, again, Ernest Holmes. The stream flows around and through us, but the Spirit cannot drink for us. So it's up to us to partake. It's up to us to open up to receive. So these next 2 weeks until we meet again in February, we'll be on to a new subject. But for these next 2 weeks, if you will just practice being God and seeing God everywhere you go. It's a wonderful practice. I challenge you to spend your next 2 weeks being God in the world. Bless you. It's so good to be here with you tonight.
God is all there is. God is all there is. One mind, one love, one power, one life. God is all there is. God is all there is. From this loving presence flows my life. When I feel discouraged, when I start to doubt, when I get confused, don't know what life's all about, I set my mind upon this truth that puts my heart at ease. I affirm that God is all. God lives in me. God is all there is. God is all there is. One mind, one love, one power, and one life. God is all there is. God is all there is. And from this loving presence life. I don't need no Satan, and I don't need no sin. There ain't no universal struggle, some power's gotta win. Children, God is all and all is God. And if God is all and all is God, then that includes me. God is all there is. God is all there is. One mind, one love, one power, and one life. God is all there is. God is all there is. And from this loving presence flows my life. Love is all there is. Love is all there is. One mind, one love, one power, and one life. Love is all there is. Love is all there is. And from this loving presence flows my life.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Beautiful. God is all there is. Yes. So, it is a time of our service for our offering. It is a time that we get to practice that law of reciprocity that we talk about. As we give, we receive. And that is just the way that the law works. What we put into it comes back to us. There's just no other way. That's what it is. So I'm just going to call the ushers forward. We have, I think, Dennis and Karen tonight. Thank you very much for coming here and being part of our Wednesday night team. So great. Thank you all for being here. Please know that anything that you're able to give, that we welcome lovingly and warmly. Anything that you give goes to support the works here that we do at Seaside, to keep our doors open, to keep our Sunday celebration and our classes and our Wednesday night service and everything that we do. So we sure do appreciate anything that you're able to give. And we're going to join together in our prosperity prayer, which is, as I give thanks for the good now flowing into my life, I gladly share that good with others. The more I give, the more I receive. I experience a deeper consciousness of peace and security, for I know that I am in the embrace of a warm, loving presence, forever seeking an outlet through me. My cup runneth over. I exist in limitless possibilities. And so it is. Thank you, Jim. Thank you. Just want to take a moment for a few announcements and to thank everybody who makes Wednesday night going within service possible. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Ed, for doing sound. Thank you, Gregory, for being on the camera. Thank you to everybody who watches from home, who watches on the podcast. We sure appreciate you being part of Seaside. And thank you to Jenny Mills, who's our Wednesday night coordinator, her husband, Dennis, who is always here, and Karen, of course, who's here to support us. Thank you to the practitioners tonight. Rebecca is holding the light for us, and Trudy is here with us this evening. They are both available for prayer following service. Please know that. Right outside the side doors here is our chapel. Just go right over there, and one of them will greet you and be able to pray with you. Do not leave here with anything on your heart. Please stay for prayer. I don't know that I have any announcements. Classes are well underway. We have a few classes that will be coming up in March. Reverend Lori Mack is teaching a class, E Squared again. If you want to sign up to be in her class, she'll be here next week, and her message next week is opening our spiritual eyes. So Reverend Lori will be here, and then I'll be back the week after. So grateful to have you all here. So blessed that you decided to spend your Wednesday night with us. We are going to be doing an affirmation now on Wednesday nights, and we skipped over it, but I'm going to put it in there. Do you have it, Ed, before we pray? Oh, maybe not. He turned it off already. You might have it? Okay. Okay, good. And this is a Dr. Christian's affirmation from the one that he wrote, so we're all going to say it together. I see all of life as an expression of God. Let's say it one more time. I see all of life as an expression of God. So with that, I'm just going to go ahead and pray. Please, if you have anybody that you would like to include in this prayer, please raise them in your consciousness now and know that they'll be included in this prayer. As we turn within and knowing that there is only that one power and that one presence, and that is all that there is nothing, absolutely nothing but God, that is good, love, joy, prosperity, abundance, everything, it is spirit. There's nothing in this world that is not the divine. No human thing, no animal, no plant. Every single thing is spirit made manifest. And I know that I am one with this source. I know that I am an individualized expression of the divine. And just as I know this is true for me, I know it's true for each one here. I know that each individual in this sanctuary is God made manifest. Each one is the very face of God on this planet. And I know and I claim for each one that they live and breathe and have their very being in that divine flow, knowing that Spirit moves through them clearly and easily, that there's no obstacles, that anything that seems to be other than the divine just dissipates back into the nothingness from which it came. I know that each one is blessed with health and wealth and all that they need for their soul's growth. I know that each and every loved one that's called into this prayer is surrounded and guided and guarded by that divine light. I know for every individual that's put a prayer in our prayer request chest that Spirit has said yes, because that's all that Spirit does is say yes to anything that we ask. I'm so grateful to know this truth. I'm so grateful to speak these words. I am so grateful to be part of this spiritual community. It's with that sense of absolute gratitude that I just simply release these words into the law, knowing it is already complete, it is already done, and so it is. Now join me in our closing song.
Is my decision. It's up to me to give up my heart. Love is my decision, and no one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, love will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to dance down that road. Love is my decision. No one else can lighten my load. Oh, and once I decide to change my mind, love will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now. My decision right here and now.
Oh, God bless you. Join us for tea and cookies in the family room. See you there.
So the Capricorn is the drive you crazy
No,
one?
no, no, it's the opposite.